Jerome!
Wow. Finally got a stable connection. Congratulations to our new
Ban list. Okay, this is hopefully Jerome announcing the ban list. So lock in, folks. This could be the announcement.
The current advanced format. The new advanced format starts on April 7th.
Oh!
I have the next Forbidden Unlimited.
Tomorrow! Okay.
Right here.
Ban list is tomorrow.
So, I've been trying to tell you all weekend about the new Forbidden Unlimited card.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot to go over, so lock in.
Let's hear.
First, following cards are now unlimited.
Okay, these are the cards coming back. Cyberjar's back to 3. Who cares?
And Danger Tsuchinoko.
Fantastic. That's great.
Ava.
Who cares?
And Performapal Monkey Board.
All right. Sure. All right. So Cyberjar, Danger Tsuchinoko, Danger Jackalope, Ava, Monkey Board, all relevant.
Semi-limited. There's a number of them moving in both directions. So let's
What?
with the cards moving from limited.
Okay.
They are Black Dragon Collapse Serpent and White Dragon Wyverbird.
That's scary.
Morphing Jar.
Sure.
Unchained Soul of Shrivara.
Finally, I think the card shouldn't have been limited.
And Snake Eye Poplar.
Oh, okay. Snake Eye is finally a bit more playable.
Previously unlimited. And they are X-Ryziel.
Oh!
Ice Ryziel.
Ooh!
Sword Ryziel.
Oh!
P. Dormouse.
Dormouse.
P. White Rabbit.
Oh!
Allison Underground.
Whoa! Interesting choices.
Next
That's
up,
crazy.
limited cards. 3 cards have been moved from forbidden to limited. You may have seen a couple of these in the quarter century.
What the? All right, so we got a lot to talk about.
I would highly recommend that you go check those out right after this. The returning cards are Mathmech Circular.
Ooh!
Brilliant Fusion.
Yes! Masterpiece. Yeah, all right.
Through Draco Slaying King.
These are all pretty much
The
predicted.
newly limited cards were previously unlimited.
Ooh.
They are Bestial Druisworm,
Yep.
Ryziel Detonator,
Oh!
Bonfire,
Whoa!
South Designator,
Yeah.
Triple Tactics Talent,
Sure.
and Dimension Shifter.
Yes! All right, it's a step in the right direction. Really wish it was banned, but that's fine.
There are 4 newly forbidden cards.
4 ban cards? Whoa, that's a lot. Jerome?
Nightmare Griffin,
Sure.
Link Decoder,
Yes!
Abyss Dweller,
Yes!
Bahamut Shark,
Whoa, they did it! They didn't ban Toad, they banned Bahamut! Oh no!
find the complete list of changes.
Oh my goodness, that makes a lot of sense, but also no sense at all. Okay. Wow.
Best of luck to everyone preparing for the
Holy.
competition.
Alright, so let's go back and talk about these individually. We can take a look. So the unlimited section. No one really cares. Cyberjar has been irrelevant for the past 10 years. Could have come back 10 years ago. Totally fine. Danger Jackalope and Tsuchinoko, they've kind of been on the list, just idling there for quite a while. No one's playing the Dangers. These can come back. They're nice extenders for rank 3s. So, appreciated, but, not the biggest deals. Ava was brought from 1 to 2. No one cared. It's now can come back to 3. It's irrelevant. And Monkey Board, no one was playing Monkey Board. Everyone was freaking out when Monkey Board was first unlimited, but it's totally fine. Moving forward. This is the kind of crazy part. So Collapse Serpent and Wyverbuster, we can start there. Those cards are really good. Dragon Link is by no means dead. I mean, you can certainly still play it, and like every new piece of Dragon support that comes out is going to make it better and better. Having 2 apiece is definitely a big deal. I mean, these cards search each other. They are really strong in terms of getting extra bodies on the board. It's really easy to resolve multiple of them a turn, so it's pretty nuts. We'll have to see how that goes, but I definitely an interesting sending limit. I'm not super scared about it. The Ryziel limits, I'm not the most happy with, I'll be honest. It is nice that X, Ice, and Sword all got limited. At least they realized they needed to hit a solid number of cards to deal with that deck. And the Abyss Dweller ban too, which we'll get to, is nice as well. The detonator limit is also pretty cool, but is like, let's just talk about these as they exist. It's nice. These are consistency hits that make the deck just a little less likely for you to see that extra oomph card, the little extra extender that you're looking for. But it still allows the deck to play. It's not like the deck is completely dead. So that's nice to see. The Malice cards all getting limited or semi-limited is kind of crazy. I was not expecting this at all. Like maybe Dormouse I was expecting, but White Rabbit and Underground are interesting. Overall, just consistency hits to Malice, making them less likely to see a starter when they already were really struggling to see consistently names. So you might see them having to shift more sort of towards something like a Psyduck mining in the future. That being said, now that Shifter is limited, you might not play that anymore, and so Psyduck mining becomes more available to you when Shifter is no longer omnipresent. So there's options for Malice. Certainly not dead by any stretch of the imagination. Morphing Jar, who cares? This could have come back to 3. Why is it at 2? No one's going to be abusing Empty Jar in 2025. Aft and Poplar are nice cards to bring back. The Snake Eye deck felt pretty weak post hitting of the original Simple Spoil Snake Eye. So much so that I was almost seeing no play. So giving the deck an opportunity to kind of have its own identity outside of the Bellstar stuff is nice. Will this make Snake Eye playable again? Probably not. But it at least makes them feel a lot better. And then we've got I think that's everything. Oh no, Shavara. Shavara is the last one to come back. Who cares? Shavara 1 versus 2 doesn't do anything. This card should be back at 3. Fiend Link and stuff like that is just no longer relevant anymore. So giving those tools back is nice. And then we have the limits. Some kind of cool limits in here. So Druis Worm, fantastic to limit. Malice does shift to playing more of the other Bestial names. Not every Maliceless was on 3 Baldrake. Now they will be. Additionally, I expect Saronir to see a solid amount of play. This really doesn't affect Malice all that much. The Druis Worm is definitely the best one. And having only 1 copy of it is going to be tough for the deck to deal with. But because that Druis Worm Grave effect was nice at like dealing with a lot of problem monsters on the board. But even still, you'll be fine. Most of the benefit of the Bestials was being able to banish your stuff for your combos. So this seems like a slap on the wrist and not all that big of a deal. Shifter, however, is nice to see limited. This card's been around for too long. Should be banned. Absolutely needs to go. Not sure what Konami was thinking with printing this card in general. They knew this would be a problem eventually. And it has been the bane of many a format for the past 2-3 years now at this point. So finally excited to see this at least moving on the list. Will probably eventually need to get banned because now it's so sacky, but, you know, it is what it is. Masterpiece, great to see back. Came back in Master Duel, did literally nothing. So yeah, absolutely, Draco can have Masterpiece. Even though I hold a special place in my heart for Masterpiece, not in the way you think. I don't like it. I actually hate it. I've had much experience dealing with Masterpiece, the struggle of outing an unaffected boss monster that could also pop a card every turn. Back in 2018, that was broken. In 2025, that is well under the power level of a format, so it's fine. Circular coming back, pretty cool. I don't think this does much. Actually, would Malice play this as like a link engine if you had the one access to the circular? Because it is just like generic Cyber's link fodder. Maybe, probably not. There's some thoughts there, some discussion there, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. That's a very interesting one. Detonator limit is actually pretty impactful. A lot of times the mainline pure Ryzeal combo would go send Detonator with your X, and then your Ryzeal Duo Drive would be able to attach the Detonator, and then that way you could make sure you have live material on your Duo Drive to negate with Cross to protect your board, so you don't have to remove a pop from your Detonator. Now that's not possible. Additionally, if you remove their Detonator, Ryzeal doesn't have a follow-up Detonator on extra turns, so it's kind of like a once you deal with it, it's gone forever. But however, if you use the Xyz hate that's going around right now, stuff like Encore, stuff like Ulti Slayer, at the very least, it goes back to the extra deck, so it's not like super killer against it. But again, outing it, especially with something like a drill beam with like something like Blue Eyes, it's going to be absolutely lethal now in the matchup. Bonfire Limit is another hit to Ryzeal, very nice. Deck was hyper consistent. They'll probably just switch to playing the 7th Tachyon stuff, which makes sense. No one was really surprised by this limit. Everyone kind of saw it coming, so that's pretty straightforward. Brilliant Fusion is a card they reprinted, so everyone assumed it was coming back. It is coming back. I don't see anyone playing the 2 bricks in the main to the 1 starter in Brilliant Fusion anymore. There's no reason to do so. You are mostly just going to be seeing this in some dumb combos online, but for the most part, an extra normal is nice, but not worth the Garnet to starter ratio, quite literally. Designator getting limited is nice to see, and we'll talk about talents kind of at the same time too, since they both do the same thing. They're both hand trap mitigators / like annoying cards in both the mirror, and then in talents case, it's really good going first and second. It's absolutely crazy that this card has existed for as long as it had been. A lot of people even saw it kind of like sliding under the radar in a lot of ways, with like talents being able to do either of Pot of Greed, Snatch Steal, or Forceful Sentry all in one card is kind of nuts card design. Sure, it requires your opponent to activate a monster, but that's kind of omnipresent with all the hand traps going around now. And the Designator just kind of acted like Call by the Grave used to, where if you played a sufficient amount of non-engine, which most decks are nowadays, playing like 18 or 20 non-engine, being able to play Cross-Site Designator and then invalidating a lot of the hand traps that beat your deck is unfair for a lot of people, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And last but certainly not least, let's go ahead and take a look at the ban section. We've got Nightmare Griffin being banned. This is another hit to Malice, although a lot of times Malice wins games without even going through their Griffin and Firewall lines, so not the biggest deal. Certainly a hit they'll notice, but not all that much. Link Decoder ban. This is something I talked about and everyone called me crazy for, but I think I was pretty right on the money with this one. Link Decoder is the Link one in Malice that gives them an extra body for free. It makes them insular to stuff like the Nibiru, and it helps them play around so much interruption. This card is just not fair. Sorry to all the rogue decks out there who play the cyber stuff, but this card was just getting abused in Malice. Can't be tenable in the current format. Dweller, so glad it's gone. One of the most annoying parts of the Ryzeal board is they can just make a Dweller, invalidate graveyard strategies, and then you are just put in a unwinnable scenario if you're playing any deck that even remotely relies on graveyard effects. This is a card that had a shelf life, a very limited shelf life, and while it did last well beyond, in my opinion, its expiration date, because it's been around for almost 10 years at this point, it is certainly just a lingering floodgate that says no to graveyard decks. Absolutely crazy that it has survived so long. So expect graveyard decks to rise up. But one graveyard deck that's not going to rise up is the water pile, Mermalantian, whatever you want to call it. Bahamut Shark getting hit is huge for that deck. Cuts them off from Totally Awesome. Cuts them off from variants that were maybe playing the Lavirtue Dragon and stuff like that. Also really hurts Sharks, which is tough for Sharks, but it is what it is. This card summoning any level 3, rank 3 or lower water from extra deck is really insane. Like, it limits a lot of card design for future cards. So in my head, this makes sense as the long-term ban. I really thought they were going to ban Toad, since a lot of people look at Toad and see Toad as the initial problem, but without Bahamut Shark, there's no ways for the top decks to cheat out Toad at the moment. No decks are making any sort of like rank 2 engines, so this actually makes a lot of sense to me. Cool. Now, that being said, what's missing from this list? Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith went untouched. If you take a look through all of the hits areas, no Fiendsmith cards here. No Fiendsmith cards here. No Fiendsmith cards here, so we are playing through another 3-4 months of Fiendsmith format. The Fiendsmith cards are really good, and with the limits to Druid Swarm and Shifter, both of those being graveyard hate, in addition to something like a Dweller, a lot of these options that had kept Fiendsmith in check are just no longer there, and a lot of people expected that while these hits needed to happen to check the meta decks, the Fiendsmith cards are really good, and therefore Konami would absolutely see that they need to check those as well, in order to make sure that once they got rid of all the graveyard hate, that the Fiendsmith cards would be put back in their place. They didn't. They didn't at all. So pick up your reprinted engravers, pick up your non-reprinted tracks for probably going to be like 60, 70 bucks. The engine's going to be absolutely crazy. I'm actually just kind of stunned that it's arriving on the list. Blue Eyes didn't get a hit. No one thought Blue Eyes needed a hit, so that makes sense to me. It makes a ton of sense to me. Konami likes that Blue Eyes is good. This does bring the top decks kind of back down in line with a lot of the power level that Blue Eyes was showing, so expect there to be a tighter fight at the top for best deck, alongside now Fiendsmith variants that kind of get to run amok thanks to the lack of graveyard hate. Anything else that kind of got missed? I'm trying to think through, looking through the top decks. They didn't really hit much in terms of Azamina or White Forest or Memento, which all makes sense. None of those decks were really competing at a high level. I think they did a lot right with these lists. They missed the Fiendsmith stuff, which is a bit frustrating, and they didn't quite address the Malice problem like I had hoped they would. I think Malice is still an extremely strong deck. I think that Rise is even a pretty strong deck, but I think this was a good start. This definitely checks the format a little bit, makes the top decks a little less consistent, and we get the chance to see how that shakes out. But with that being said, those are my thoughts on the ban list. If you have other thoughts, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you all think about the ban list and how it's shaken out. In my opinion, it was good, not great, could have been better, but we'll definitely shake up the format and make things relatively interesting. And we do indeed have Alliance Insight coming out soon, so that will also shake up the format, so it'll remain to be seen how that affects things as well. But thank you all so much for watching. Let me know again down in the comments what your thoughts are, how you agree with me, how you disagree with me, just thoughts in general on the ban list. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!